Hey guys, welcome back. We're Slice&Dice. I'm Jono.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Phil.
And we are just going to have a brief discussion about what we've done over the Christmas holiday and the Christmas season. So Winter Cup happened, and good couple of days. And what
So good.
I think, seeing as the New Year's come around, we're sat happy in Opus 21, aren't we? Really?
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a word. Sat happy. I don't know if everyone's happy with Opus 21. I was happy. I'm happy with Winter Cup. I loved Winter Cup, but I think Opus 21 is controversial.
Yeah, I think you've hit the middle. It's the middle ground, isn't it? Where you're firstly in the middle of a set, but secondly, you know that the meta is solved in a weird sort of way, and you were just waiting for new cards to kind of change things up a bit.
Yeah. Where I am personally, having fun, going a bit off meta in Opus 21, but you're always going to get your heart broken.
Yeah.
When you think maybe it is good enough to be better, and then you're like, maybe it's not.
You have a little pocket idea throughout, like Winter Cup, going, I'll try that later. I'll try that, and then when you build the thing that you think, that might be actually working all right, and then stomped.
And every time you add a new card to a deck, you're like, no, it's just Wall 7. It's just too good. It's just Wall 7.
That is definitely that elephant in the room, isn't it? When you think about the Opus 21 meta, you're like, Wall 7 is kind of playing back up. Play Wall 7.
You're all just
probably
hoping
win the game.
22 is going to solve something. Not solve it, but like just make everyone turn their gaze away from something like that.
But Alex dominated with Wall 7, didn't he? That was I found that really like thrilling at Winter Cup. Like, although some people were like, oh, Wall 7. For me, at my first cup and stuff, and just hearing how undefeated he went, like he didn't take any. I can't remember how long, but basically, I kept on hearing the stat of like he didn't take any points of damage possibly on day one, or like one or something ridiculous.
He hit 4 points of damage. 4 points of damage. I think through the 2 days.
Yeah, so
and
that's
in those 2 days, with the 4 points of damage, 2 EXs out of 5 in a deck.
Yeah,
No,
I sort of like admired. Like,
I don't even know where to begin.
It's like when you add up the numbers of like, how much damage per game. I kind of like was just admiring being in the room and watching him and Steve and all the other players who were in Top Cut, and like Mike and Sean, and being like, oh my god, like how incredible you have to be to not take any damage like in an event like this. It was really fun.
That final was great as well. The final match between Steve and Alex. Really enjoyed watching that from the side. And I think it's easy to bemoan the meta, right? Be like, oh, Wall 7 seems a bit OP, but you do have probably the best player in the world playing it. So you're like, I don't know how many Wall 7 decks are in Top Cut. I was just about to look.
I think it was
at
just the one. I think, and I was saying this before we started the podcast. That like I've been looking at events that have gone on since, even though they're like small ones, and there are people piloting Wall 7 like almost 1-for-1 Alex's deck, and they come last or like second last. So it is very much, although it's a powerful deck, it's
down to the player.
That was a small NA event, right?
Yeah. It was small, still like.
But it was small and NA, No shade.
In the same breath, though, you, like what you're just saying, it's down to the player. Because, I think I came across a couple of Wall 7s, not in my actual day one main event, but I was, going around the room and there was some Wall 7s going around. Giga Walls were, coming, they were there, present, but when you've got a top tier player who's obviously doing the job of playing the deck as it's supposed to. I'm not saying they weren't, but it's just, you've got to...
But then it's not just Alex. There were people playing stuff that we didn't expect to see in that Top Cut who did really well. Like, what was the fire water deck of that? The that you really liked. Jenny, is it?
Oh, Jenny. No, she didn't necessarily play fire water.
I know you liked her. Is it Tyvus?
Tyvus, yeah. No, there was Tyvus flooded that room. If you counted up all the cards that were in that room, Tyvus was probably like that package of warriors seemed to fit a lot of decks, and I think I've faced a couple of similar mirrors, but there was some really niche, like with Jenny's build, it was a best of both worlds, and I had to steal it because it was like when I heard that she was playing 4-drop Warrior of Light with Cecil's, which was all I played Opus 20, and I shifted gears to go for a Warrior package, and she was playing that as well. I was like, that's like both my favourite sort of ideas from both sets combined, and I was like, I have to take that.
Yeah.
She finished 4th as well.
Yeah, it was really
real.
cool seeing her run. I think she's hitting a lot of EXs, which you need to do in that.
I mean,
room.
I think as I say, I took her deck and I've played it, and there's 19 EXs, which was a much higher count than I was playing as just straight Tyvus deck. You know, so.
And as we're talking about Jenny on a tangent, that engagement proposal at the end.
I was thinking,
crazy.
I know.
It was interesting.
That twisted my mind. I was like, what the hell?
I had a small
prepared.
tip off by Jacob, actually. I had a small tip off.
box.
Yeah, like,
Like,
not with the box, but like on the night before. He said, "Oh, you want to stay around for the end? You want to stay around for the end? I've got a surprise." I was like, "Interesting," or not necessarily. He's got a surprise. There is a surprise. I was like, "Interesting."
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, there was Jenny, who was in the top cut. So if you go onto FF decks and look for decks and things, or if you know Jenny, she got proposed to at Winter Cup, and I was really confused because I was like, "What's going on?" In terms of I got to the end of the raffle at the end of day 2, and it was raffle the box, and Alec.
A standard though, right?
And yeah, this is the thing. And Alec and I and everyone else who was
Alec didn't know the meme. Did
he? What's going on? Like what? And then someone explained, "Oh, you always raffle away the box that all the raffle prizes are in." Jenny won the box, and then surely enough, at the bottom of the box was an engagement ring, and everyone was like, "This is cute." I
was curious to know if that was acting by Alec. If he was in on it, you assume he would be. Right?
He was. I can safely say that he was in it because he picked Jacob to do the handing out of the things on purpose.
Yeah, it all looks so convincing, doesn't it?
And he
I was convinced.
Jacob held himself. I remember proposing, and I was shitting a brick. So he must have had some nerves in, but he looked like he dealt with that very well.
It's a cheeky maneuver that was.
It was great.
It was good.
But that was a nice.
It was a nice rounding out.
Yeah. Going back to Wall 7. There was one other Wall 7 list in top 8.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, and there was, I think, let's see, one. Oh no, that's Sean. That's not Wall.
So
not.
was it?
Far from.
Oh, don't.
I think there's like 3 other Wall 7s in top, what do you call it, 16?
Top 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, it made its impact, I would say,
Yeah.
like making a quarter of
it was
16.
super cool to see Mike get into top 16 with a mono earth monsters list, and I
don't think he was top 16, but he was top cut.
Yeah, they're both.
Oh, top 32. Okay.
Well, no, it was all, what was it, 4 3s? No,
it was 4
5.
It was you had
5
to,
twos.
I think it was X2.
Yeah,
it was
all 5
if you
twos,
made
yeah.
X2, because X3, because I filled out my map. That's another thing in there. X3s were the ones who could possibly have gotten some sleeves if you were like the top of X3.
The nice thing about this event is they cut the bubbling idea.
It was quite clear.
A lot of big players said they like that, so I'll trust their judgment. Sorry.
No, sorry, he did. But both Mike and Sean from our locals made top cut, which was really nice to see. Like, so they made day 2, which was really lovely.
Yeah.
So Mike was on. What was Mike on?
Mono Earth.
Mike was on Mono Earth, which is like really good.
Mirror deck.
Yeah, which he's just very good at. He had some pretty tough matchups, and so he did really well. Yeah. He ended up getting knocked out by Wee Andy, I think. Later, that was his last match. But then Sean was playing.
Sean was knocked out by Wee Andy.
Yes.
I'm not sure about mine.
Aww. Andy just killing our boys.
Well, and the only jab we'd make is Sean was knocked out by administration errors, but that is that. But no, Sean was playing. I find it interesting just because Sean was playing that like 50 forwards list.
Yeah.
Really angry forwards.
Kieran.
Classic signature Sean deck.
But it was really
cool to see.
It was a fantastic deck and it worked so well. I just wish I think that video that went around of somebody reviewing his deck going, I don't understand this, but I don't think they even really read it.
No.
They didn't really read it to understand it was actually a very well crafted deck. Like
I mean, Sean's been running that for how many sets? 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Kieran has been like a stomp card of his, sorry, not a stomp, a stamp, like
signature card.
Signature card, that's the one, of his for the longest time. And Theodore, even though he hates discard himself,
he gets a good win rate on that deck. Fair play. I like the rogue element.
Yeah, the guy who was reviewing it did question his choices on the cards, and Theodore was one of them. And it's like, if you've got enough ice cards, which he is running, then turn 1 Theodore so that you can get a discard is kind of
you're forcing
stifling
the game
plus pressure at the same time.
Yeah, but On for us, I guess. Sam, how was your like day one of like? How was your Winter Cup? Whether it was day one event or just like even like the vibe, the venue, the thing, the whole thing.
Venue, great vibe, organisation, all of those things, top tier. Really, probably the cleanest organisation, like smoothness of a Winter Cup I've been to.
I could agree.
So rounds, I lost my first game, I think. It was one of the two first games I lost against Mono Earth, actually. Mono Earth monsters. And I just missed lethal. Like, all those little monsters popping up and the ability to go, this cannot attack or block. I think I had a wall, multi-element wall. So my deck was multi-element wall, Cecil.
Yep.
And it was like my little spin on it where I was really leaning on Cecil. I even had a summon to put a card back in the bottom of the deck. So, like, to try and negate some of the drawback of Cecil, which was, I think most people would look at that list and go, why is he playing this bad card? But, you know, got to be done.
You did really well.
Put your flavour on it.
You did really well, though. You got, like, right up to the line of, like, thinking you might make day two.
I was 4-3 in the end.
Yeah.
So, lost to Mono Earth. Then I had a good roll of games, played some semi-mirrors, and I was really proud of my gameplay. Wasn't too nervous. I tested enough that I knew my matchups. Was really annoyed that I missed that lethal against Earth because I like died with like four cards in hand. I could have played like more forwards and not died there. But it's often the game doesn't often go to a place where you feel like playing more forwards is good because you're always also thinking about board wipes.
Of course.
But I didn't have a summon to hold, so it's one of those things.
If you don't have a response,
I think I'd already transformed my Cecil into wind to put my wall down. When you got wall and wind Cecil on the board, you feel a little bit safe, but is what it is. And then the last three games, played FF13, then Wall 7, and then I won the last one, which I don't remember very well. But I lost the two aggro games. It's Wall 7 and the Wall 7 game was probably the most traumatic game of my entire life.
Oh, that one.
Hideous. The FF13 was interesting. It was Madge's partner.
Oh, yeah.
And she was very like, I've not practiced much. And she just kind of went like the most direct route with 13. You know?
Yeah.
Like forward, preparing the lightning for the next turn.
I want damage 5 in one turn kind of thing.
So I went I went Sarah, search Kolka, knowing I had Titan Lord of Crags in deck. So I think it was, on retrospect, I think it was a bit risky because I think if Fang comes down and power boosts everything, it could get a bit sticky.
Yeah, because it's a
They
2K.
usually go up to 8k, do they?
It's a 2k boost for everything if you control 3.
Oh yeah, so Lightning would survive.
So Lightning goes to 9k, Hope goes to 10k.
Yeah, most things go above 8, apart from Fang herself. Yeah.
Yes, but then the moment like the first thing swings in combat, Fang also goes out of range. So
But if you Titan Lord of Crags and then obviously with Fang, once Fang's gone, then the power reduction comes down and it will equal out, right?
No, because it checks the power at the time.
Gotcha.
So the Fang would die, and then everything would survive, and then power would go down.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fair.
But I don't think she actually did Fang. But either way, I do Sarah, prepare Kolka for the next turn, and I, calculated that I would have enough to play Kolka and play Titan Lord of Crags.
Right.
She swings a couple of times. Titan Lord of Crags in damage.
The one. Is it one of?
Of course, yeah. Didn't draw Shantato. It's like, I'm dead. Whereas it's interesting because I think I did get Cecil and try and do something, but can't remember. Like, I think it was already a bit of a rip.
Please tell us about your Giga Wall match. I want to hear this.
It was worse than that. This guy tells me he's like, he's from London. His mates just throw a strong deck at him so that he can go and like ooga booga. So again, someone not playing much, grabbing an aggro deck, and this is the classic bubble. Like, you can just get high rolled by aggro decks if you're on the bubble, and that's exactly what happened to me. Which I'm just taking it as that. I'm like, those were coin flip games. I landed tails twice, and I'm not mad because I did all my proper prep and I had a great chance. I was on a meta deck, so I was happy, and I was bitter at the time for these losses, but
Yeah.
we move.
Yeah, we move on. Opus 22 is coming out soon. Giga Wall will be like dead, you know, it'll be fine.
But yeah, anyway, short recap of that game. He Giga Walls, hits Bash. His deck has 5 EXs. Bash flips an EX. So search. And his Zeromus freezes my backup as well. So next turn I pay 8 for Shantotto. Clear the board. Get a foothold in the game, right?
Yeah.
So his turn. Giga Wall. Hits another EX.
Wow.
Like if you do the calculation on that statistically, it's like
That's
crazy.
Hits
the two. It hits a 4 in 50 twice in a row. And yeah, I'll just lose.
That's just a GG go upstairs and get a drink. Which was the nice thing about that venue. That was the nice thing about that venue. They are very lucky to have all that lovely alcohol at that venue. If you ever go to Firestorm games, if you listeners, they have a nice alcohol selection when you're getting bodied.
Yeah. Well,
So I don't know
you
if
can
it
get
is-
bodied while being bodied, right?
Exactly.
We've seen some of our guys get really bodied in Wales.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my opponent like round 5 or something. I won't go into my stuff yet, but was like absolutely off his tits, and he was lovely. He was so nice, but he was like, "Hello, I've lost lots. I'm wasted. Let's just play cardboard." I'm like, "This is great."
Yeah.
That
I love that. I mean, you've got that from a lot of the communities as well. Just like a jolly,
nice.
jolly, like wholesome, boozy vibe that I enjoy.
What James Duff? Say what?
Boozy.
Yeah.
He is bougie.
Boozy.
Boozy.
I know.
Boozy
I was
bougie.
trying to make the joke.
Yeah.
He loves his full arts, that guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Yeah.
Well, how about you, Jono? How about your day 1?
I was going into it with not too much confidence. I don't feel like completely set on my deck choice, for example, but I felt that I had a couple of words with Steve D before the day began, the day before, should I say. Made some quite crucial, as in hindsight now looking back, there are actually some crucial swap outs of cards that he helped, piece together.
What were you playing?
His advice is always
So I
appreciated.
was playing the Tyvus Warrior package, like I said, but it was a fire water twist with twins, and I think there's a couple of RCL in there as well, just to kind of like keep the fire water aspect going, and Firion. But yeah, I threw Axstar in just so that we could obviously have some good plays with Axstar.
Just such a good
What does
aggressive card.
what does that Axstar do again? So the Tyvus is like cast warrior from hand.
Yeah, so basically
your twinsy and your blank and your blank and your ping control, and
That's
then
correct.
what's your Axstar?
So Axstar is a nice fire forward that basically is this Job Warrior, which was perfect with Tyvus, because Tyvus's ability of pay 0, play a warrior from hand. He does three on entry effects, which is dull everything that is not 3 cost. Dull and freeze everything, that is not 3 cost on both sides of the board, so yours and your opponent's. And then it's deal 3k to a chosen forward for every 3 cost you control. And then bring a 3 cost or less from hand onto the field. So as a swarm sort of idea with playing Tyvus, search out, because when you play the 5 cost Tyvus, he searches you out a warrior or a card name warrior to hand, and you can just search out your Axstar, play it for free that turn to play something else from hand that's 3 cost of ice or fire. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, if Axstar brings in 3 cost or less, that's ice or fire. Was it just fire? I can't remember. It's ice and fire.
Yeah.
So like if you're stuck with a water card in hand, it was a bit like most of the time it was obviously fire, because Axstar was the
Either
only
way,
ice card.
Great value, very like Giga Wall-esque.
So
value.
yeah, you could if you had an already
Definitely a Giga Wall card.
if you already had most definitely you can see him. I think Tyvus is running Giga Wall most of the time because of the amount of warrior stuff that can go on in that game.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about the water aspect was Mog 6, the hero from a couple of sets ago, that basically play, draw an entry, and then you can sack it to stop someone searching, stop your opponent from searching a turn. And the amount of search that happens in the game, the amount of things that happen when like timing wise, like we've had a game where Sam, where you obviously wanted to get your Cecil off to search for another Cecil, stop that from happening. You know, small things. Play a goblin. I know it's only 1 CP, but stops you searching another goblin. You know,
it's good. It's a good little piece for slowing down. Decks.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't affect EXs obviously, but it's still something that's a potential just sit there and wait card.
What changes did you make out with Steve?
With Steve, well, I was running. I thought, I love warriors. The Tulian that came up, I was like, perfect. I'll throw that in there. But at the time, I was then going into a fourth color, which was, you know, it's only going to be. There's only 1 in deck, but I thought, yeah, get rid of that. Obviously, he pushed me up to 3 of each, Porum and Palom.
Yeah.
And I think I got rid of. I tried the new Bahamut, the 5-cost Bahamut that's reduced by 2.
Yeah.
On your turn. In your turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still, I thought dealing 10k on your turn was like a nice sweet spot to kill most things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you're trying to push, you know, a board state that's very swarmy, you want to be more reactive to keep that board state alive rather than proactive with casting it on your turn.
Yeah.
You know. So that went for a couple of other things. So I can't exactly remember the swaps because I've got the actual deck in my head more than what I had before. But yeah, the first few games I felt a bit confident because I was hitting everything that I needed to.
Nice.
And then it started to go a little bit downhill like later in the day. I was like, I'm getting obviously into the higher tables here, so I'm obviously gonna face higher, tougher competition. And a deck that I highly appreciated playing against because it stomped me, but yeah, I loved playing against it was Tush's deck where he played an FF8 triple color ice lightning and water deck with Alphino. Water Alphino that fetches back something from break on 5 damage, and searches out something on 5th damage as well. But you know, I was obviously pushing for game too quickly, thinking, I'm going to get all this damage in, but actually his deck was perfectly designed to sit at 5 or 6 damage because he had Ice Renoa to deal everything. He had Aranea play something else. It was a pleasure to play against a deck that was so well crafted against aggro.
We love a fun, interesting, original.
Absolutely. I looked at it.
No shade.
I was literally just going. I said to him, I was like, after this, please send me your list. I want to try that out because it sounds so fun. Just sitting there pretty with your cards going, wait until you hit me some more.
I've always wanted to try and build damage 5 decks. It's quite a hard one to like master.
You kind of because if you know that you can't play your trump cards too soon for your opponent to look at and go, I'm not going to hit you for 5 yet. You know, you can't play your trump cards too soon. But yeah, it was a pleasure to play against some of those decks that just surprised me.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I also ran into a sort of damage 5-ish deck, like a water lightning one. London guy running it. Well, I think he was Londoner, and that was cool. He was running a lot of color. You know, he was running like EX Lightning Cane. You know, the 3-drop, or is it? And he like recurs at category 4.
I know which one.
All kinds of off meta sort of.
It's nice. It's
I love water lightning too. So.
It's a little place where you can trial out these nice, cool decks. Like Winter Cup is like nice to play your off meta decks if you really wanted to, and just trial them out and have fun. Because there's no serious competition going on apart from those who really want it. Do you know what I mean? And I think the room is so casual and humble and nice that you can get away with going, I came out 3-4, you know. So I came out X4 and still walked away going, I had a great time. You know, I had such a nice time. So day one was just, I think one thing that Alec mentioned at the very end of day 2 when everyone was saying their goodbyes is that no one actually dropped out. There was no...
That's crazy,
there was,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Out of the 119, 120 players that played, no one dropped out of the main event.
Cool, isn't it? Like, you think of what TCG can you have that at an event?
No one held up their hands and going, I'm done.
I think it's the first large-scale event that I've not dropped out of in a TCG. So I think,
Really?
Everyone's just playing for the fun of it.
Well, I guess
Surely.
like good segue, but like the transition for me with it being like a big event for me, but compared to Yu-Gi-Oh, was the fact that they gave out the Gil every round and you got a booster every round. The value was immense.
It was really
for
good,
that,
yeah.
and that made it worth staying. I know so many people that like Yu-Gi-Oh events and Magic events that drop out because once you are not on the bubble anymore, so you've not got that chance of making top cut game prize, and you go off and like spend money in the store, or if you're at Comic-Con, you go to Comic-Con. So there was they made it every reason to stay in that event.
So there's an incentive.
Yeah, it was really well incentivized.
Really
like,
nice.
I really dug it.
The value was outrageous, wasn't it? Like, what
So-
was the ticket price? I can't remember. Like 30?
Ticket,
30
30 quid.
30
yeah.
something, yeah.
And then
30
you,
quid,
you
and you
easily
get-
got that in boosters.
And you get a play mat.
Yeah.
And you get
Far
a play
more,
mat
yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
the value is...
And the
is
boosters were
good.
like really varied. You had like Opus 1, Opus 10, Opus 12. There was a lot of 20.
Yeah.
Like people were really hyped when Opus 1 got dropped like one round. It was like,
Yeah.
is it wave 1? Like, no,
Yeah.
of course it's not wave 1. Like
Yeah,
boosters,
yeah.
but
It was nice.
Yeah, I've
It's-
never
it's-
walked away from a Winter Cup being like, wow, I've got a lot of cool stuff here.
I actually did very well with my packs.
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
throughout the week, I got like 7
Nice.
or 8 legends out of
Nice,
those
yeah.
random
I
packs.
think I got one good pull in my packs.
Yeah.
To make up for it recently, I like bought 3 packs in the Dice Cup and got a Legacy Palom in one.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice, Paul. So, Phil, being it your first, how did you feel your day one went? And
as I said on the recap Winter Cup video I did,
Yeah, that was an amazing
I
video.
definitely
Nice video, yeah.
I definitely
Check it out.
I definitely attended. Oh, we can do that in a minute. But I definitely attended, and I was indeed a number on the leaderboard. Let's ignore that. But there are other reasons why my score wasn't. Well, my actual score was good. But let's
Match slip misplay.
yeah. But no, so I went on my Cat 6 just because it was either Cat 6 or Cat 13 for me, and I was like, you know what? I'm more confident on Cat 6 with my consistency of play, and I'm not going to like win, and I think I'll just enjoy playing Cat 6
Yeah.
more. I'd be far more tilted, like constantly getting my Vanille or my Fang or my Lightning Pops and just losing a game. Like 13 does not have that recovery.
Yeah. I think that I would make the same decision if I was in your
Yeah.
boots, because Cat 13 is just a bit too coin
Yeah.
flippy for me.
So, but my game 1 was against a multi-element Refia kind of deck, and admittedly, my opponent just said to me, "You've outright run. You outright have won this," but I called the wrong effect on my demon, and he just said, "I'm sorry, like this is an event," and it was fair enough. You know, anyone would.
Yeah.
So he made me stick to it, and then I lost the game from there. I basically had a board wipe, and then I left one forward up, and he completely recovered. But I resolved Big Lock that game like maybe 9 to 10 times. Like the value was
Nice.
insane. I had absolute board control.
Terrifying.
I'd like committed to
horrible.
I'd like committed to clearing his board, and then I called the wrong demon effect, so I didn't clear his board, which gave him the tempo to recover.
Nice.
But I had then my next memorable game, which I said about earlier, was like it was a Cat 6 mirror, and my opponent was absolutely drunk, like wasted, off his tits, like, and every card I played that he didn't recognise was like the best thing he'd ever seen. He's like, oh my god, like, oh yeah, cause he free casts, shit, man. And then and it was this guy, and shout out if this guy is listening or whatever, but they called the round and said, "Oh, you can start now." And the guy came over and was like, "Mate, I'm absolutely wasted. If I'm not back in 10 minutes, free win." And I was like, "Ah, all right." And he got back at like 8 minutes. And I was like, "Let's just play. Like it's cool." Like, but
It took 8 minutes to come back.
something like that. Yeah, he was like a minute or two under, but he was really chill. He was in commons on day 2 as well. But my main thing for me was I put Owser, so 5-drop water backup. That on entry, Owser's.
We love this tech.
I love this tech.
Free Porum.
Choose a forward your opponent controls of 2 cost or less, and you control it for basically forever now,
Yeah.
unless your opponent can
I think
stop it.
everyone has to double check the text on that, be like, permanently?
And
What?
for my first 3 games, I stole a Fire Water Firion. Like, so round 1, 2, and 3, I stole a Fire Water Firion, and my opponent just looked at me and went, "What?" And then I'm like, "Yeah," and I play fire in my deck and water. This Firion like infinitely benefits me. So when it resolved, people are like, "What on earth?"
Yeah, that's amazing.
So it was really fun. I ended up like my actual score should have probably been like
3-4, right?
I think 3-4 maybe, but
I think it was. It should have been.
Yeah, but because I filled out 2 of my match slips wrong, which was horrendous. But I'm
2 of them, are you?
It was 2. Yeah, definitely. 2 match slips
Kept
wrong.
that one a secret.
I'm pretty sure it was 2 or 1.
Yeah, I remember you saying that the drunk guy filled it out for you, and he.
No, and then
put
because in the one after that, where I beat a player that played Scions, and I filled that one out wrong as well. So I was 3 games down that I should have won. Yeah.
So
I remember.
What do you think? It would have been 4-3?
No, it was. I think it was. I think it was.
Still would have been 3-4.
Yeah, I don't know, but basically, I'd filled out. There were 2 games that I definitely filled out wrong, and the third one, my round 1, I like spiritually counted it as a win, but really it wasn't. So it's 2 games I should have won that I didn't, but.
I did think you should have done better than your score came out. I'm like, there's no way. Like,
I think
having played against you, I feel like you were stronger.
I worked it out that like I probably would have been around like 70 or 80, maybe like 80, 90 to be honest on the board. But I was like 109 or something in the end. But with my actual record, I would have been easily in the 80s or something. So
yeah.
But it was really fun. Like the venue was super welcoming and huge. I was like, oh my god, they've got everything here. Like I need to live here now, please.
Yeah.
We had a really nice Airbnb, which was just cute and like really so cheap, like lads. Literally, I think we got in and I was like putting my bags down, and you 2 were already testing. You hadn't like unpacked or even been in your room. You 2 were just testing.
Yeah. I think
got to be done.
Yeah. No. It's like with me not having too much time to come down to locals to play. It's like almost twice a month now. It's kind of cut down to like that.
Yeah.
It's that was a perfect excuse to kind of just go, I want to fucking play as many games as I can. You know, and knowing that I can jump into, like we went to Firestorm games the night before as well.
Yeah.
So we got to go and meet up with a load of guys and play and just have good chats and
Frenchie
stuff.
really boosted my confidence up on that night before. Like,
really?
Just beat him every single time.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to Frenchie.
Yeah, thanks French for being the community support. You know, nice one, French.
Just the beat stick.
I think he did okay. He did the same as me in the end, though.
Yeah. He did do well.
4 and 2.
He was on a Mono Lightning. He was on Mono Lightning KSR.
4 and 3 is pretty good for Mono Lightning because I don't think it was that strong in Opus 21. Like it's cool and a fun deck.
Yeah.
And it is, I guess if you're on Chaos Arc, it's like luck whether you're going to run into those multi-elements.
I think mainly for day 2 for us it was like Commons Cup, wasn't it? Like Commons Cup is like the baby of like you 2, like
and Steve D.
And Steve D, yeah. No, we
Steve
can't discount Steve D because obviously when we set up Commons Cup back in October, Steve D was immediately DMing everyone, and we even set up a group chat.
Yeah, we had a group chat. Commons
chat
Brewing with Steve D.
Yeah, exactly.
Dice Cup guys.
He, I think the format, you know, as I said quite a few times on the day to people who were saying, oh, you know, this is a great format. And I said, Commons is probably one of the toughest things to build around, and that's where the challenge comes in. And the nice thing about it is that you can push to the side all the quite high tier like rare cards. If you think about it, you've got Agrius from Water that, you know, it stomps in Pauper. Yep. You've got Yang that stomps in Pauper. There's so many, I can name so many. It's ridiculous. But if you cut all those out, what are you left with? You're left with chaff. You're left with, well, this is the stuff that gets shoved in promo boxes in your store, right?
It's kind of like going back to Opus 3, but in a fresh way.
I mean,
it's so nice.
Yeah, there's I think it still is better than Opus 3.
I think I was
with more creativity.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I was like still amazed that Nick from Card Cavern, Nick, you're a genius. That like he literally just went on FFTCG, found our lists, and was selling them, because I don't think we wouldn't have had as many. Huge. We wouldn't have had as many players at that event if he wasn't selling those lists.
51 in total. 51 players in a Commons Cup. Teams Commons Cup, obviously, so you've had to have three players a team, but you have 51 players within that cup. And I was like, wow,
so
that's
nice.
half. There's just under half of the people that came to Winter Cup have playing Commons, and it was just nice to be able
on that format. Like you like people look at it, they go, oh, Commons only. Well, most of the mannequins are Commons, so that's probably the best deck, or Dragoons. None of those decks are the best deck in our opinion.
Well,
like,
they
are strong. They're both good decks.
Like your deck ended up being the decider
for ours.
Your decider for us, but the mirror in the final that decided the whole event basically. you know.
And
your deck
Simon
went-
was running Steve D's deck, right?
Yes.
You had a thief off, basically.
Yeah, and your deck was uncontested in terms of win-loss ratio because you had a strong build.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think the in terms of actually looking at cards, you know, I think the deciding factor for me on my deck was when Snow came.
Seeing him on the pre-release,
just seeing the
like,
pre-release,
how is this common
he's
wrecking
a
everyone?
common.
Yeah.
He's a common, and then you look into what ratio of WoF characters can make him consistent.
Yeah.
And easily fire ice, because there's nothing else. Like if you look at any WoF backups or any WoF forwards that are in any other element, it's very slim pickings. So if you've got to combine them all, it's definitely fire ice. So that's where I was like, I'm making the fire ice list.
Yeah, you get the girl who forgot her name, but it doesn't matter because you just shove in a bunch of Celes and
amnesia
all these
waifu.
other- amnesia waifu. Yeah, it's got to be said.
I mean, so again, that goes back to my point of Pauper, is that if you had Pauper, you'd have her in your deck, right? Which makes the deck a little bit more consistent, which makes it a bit too strong. And so going into commons and just having commons cards is it feels more enjoyable.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like you're playing a proper game of FFTCG.
It's mainly you're not like
You know
expecting,
what I mean?
you're not scared of an Amat like every round. You're not scared of it, certain stuff. So it's just refreshing to not be scared of certain things initially.
Just before the
vibe is so nice.
Yeah, just before we played, just before we pressed record on this, me and Sam were playing a couple of games, and we literally had just said, there's hardly any sort of response windows for anything because the amount of
most of the responses are just removal, right?
So you're just sat there going, I've got cards in hand, pass. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, well, there's
any. I love the tempo of the format. It's so enjoyable. It's
fast
so
as well.
nice to fast, but not like too fast.
No.
Just like be like you both feel like you get turns. You never just like. Well, I drew a bit worse, and even if I play optimally, I still die. That doesn't happen in
You can look, exactly. You can look
time.
You can look at your opponent's board, and you can then go, right, what really do they have to get out of a situation they're in now? They don't really have an awful lot apart from what's already on the board. Do you know what I mean? Like playing against the top king of summons is obviously Salamander in this format.
Yeah.
So you only worry about salamanders or ifrits that burn your things, or you've got Odins or Ramus in lightning to break stuff. It's
but oh my goodness, playing that event with the three of us on a team, like to get cheesy, it was like the camaraderie. Like you were having like a crisis of confidence on your deck the night before.
I was,
and we sat down and adjusted it and brewed it. And then you won every game. And I was like, there was something so good about that. I was good that I made some misplays, but that's life.
On the last game, I do feel a bit, in hindsight, a bit regretful that we didn't swap our opponents.
That was a whole that was a thing
because we had a little plan, didn't we? And I didn't listen to you for some reason. I was just like, I'll do this.
And it was ironically the opponent's teamwork that won the game, not the game itself.
So if we had swapped, the guy that you were against was quite fresh and quite new into the game.
Your opponent was.
If we swapped.
If
we swapped, then that would have been a nice matchup for you.
Yeah, David knew my deck inside out, man. That was terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. So I think a better chance of our opponents would have been to swap.
Well, I misplayed in my game, so
mate, the game that you had,
I was
looking over your shoulder, and I don't think I've ever had my heart flutter so hard over a FFTCG match.
I think
great. It was so great.
So in the final we had in Commons Cup, it ended up Jono and I resolved our games, and it was basically like one apiece for each team, and Sam and the other team captain Simon were going head to head in like a fire wind.
Shout out Simon Drake.
Great player.
We're going into a mirror, and the other team, Simon's team, are like actually all like trying to help him, and like he's like trying to think about his plays. And I think Jono and I, possibly, or one of us or whatever, at one point go like, "Sam, are you okay?" And like, "Yeah, I just need to focus." Like we couldn't help you at all. It was like polar opposite, where you were so far in the zone, neither of us could like help you with that game state.
I think I saw a bead of sweat dripping down your forehead. I was like, shit.
I was just there rocking.
I've never seen him sweat over a match so much.
But it was because it went to time and you were drew on damage, then it went to sudden death.
I love the circumstance.
And then it went to deck out and you and Simon was about to actually misplay of his own accord and deck himself out, and then Dave advised him how to colour fix his hand and decked Sam out.
Basically,
literally on the last card of both of your decks. It was insane.
If Dave,
crazy.
I think David had it right, which was perfect for that win, because he calculated that the Kutzith was in deck.
Yeah. But they calculated
the one
it
card
together,
there was one card left in Simon's deck.
Yeah.
And that was the only way to get out the thief.
Yeah.
From his break zone, color fix to play the thief to be able to mill Sam the last 3 cards of your deck for then pass turn. Do you know, and it was just like, no. It was like, why did you see there was only 2 Kutzith in his deck? It was one of those.
Perfect though.
It was
really?
great. I mean, we couldn't have won any other way.
Yeah. And to be clear, it wasn't a total mirror.
No, just element.
He had
mirror,
he had multi-element deck, and I had I had a wind fire mill deck,
It was a mill match. It was
that's what I was thinking. It was a mill.
He only had 2 of those thieves in his deck, and I had 3.
Really? Wow, I didn't.
Well, in the early turns, I played my backup searcher elf that you have to discard a card to get your backup. I discarded an element that I needed for my next play.
Wasn't it?
Then I ended up discarding a Choco mod, so I didn't get my Moogle down.
Yeah, the class Sonic Moogle that taps for fire Moogle that taps for ice.
So I was just a bit off curve, and he was just that little bit being behind, just like kind of snowballed a bit. But yeah, the fact that mid game left tier came down with Salamander and like 9K'd. Was it 9 or 10K'd his board? Mm-hmm. So I don't think Simon was expecting that.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I think
you were holding on to that for a while. He was counting, thought you'd used it, and you held on to it past the point that he remembered it.
I do remember to try and claw back. He had to Salamander you twice. To try and get any sort of footing.
It was like one of the most fun FFTCG games I've played, and that's commons only for you.
I think most of my footage in my videos was just you playing that game. Like, it was great.
But you had loads of time to because it was a long game as well. It went to turn 3, and it was even on turn after time, and you do your turns.
Yeah, after time and turns, and we were just
turn
sat
0,
there
turn
on
1,
sudden
turn
death.
2, turn 3, and it was on that turn 3. It's to not allow it to go to sudden death that he did that, which I was just like, jeez.
Yeah. I was preparing. I was trying to reassess strategically how to play with sudden death engaged. Yeah. But then you had that thief play.
Yeah.
What a fucking Commons Cup though. I loved it so much.
It needs to happen again whenever it can be done.
Yeah, and it was nice after Commons Cup to we cashed in all our gil for our promos and sleeves. I got the Grievous sleeves, and Sakaguchi signed our mats. The signed mats.
Sakaguchi, you mean?
Not Sakaguchi.
Oh, mate,
Sakaguchi was there. Imagine.
I would be squealing, running over, going, sign my FF9 mat.
Yeah, Kageyama.
Sign my body, please.
Kageyama, and it was really nice to be able to actually have him partake in the Commons Cup as well.
Yeah,
because that felt like almost an honour to know that we've set up a format that, or kind of combinedly set up a format that would actually be.
Yeah. The creator would have to consider his own creation.
He said he brought he had brought a deck specifically to partake from Japan.
Yeah,
and then thought it wasn't good enough, so he had Morita, who is obviously one of the producers from Hobby Japan, who was also there. He stole his deck and played with that, which was a Fire Lightning deck, I think.
Very similar to the deck you were on before you switched to Fire Ice.
That's right, yeah. No, I played Fire Lightning for the Commons Cup and realised that Commons Cup that we ran at Dice Cup and realised
that was Opus 20,
Yeah, that was Opus 20, and I realised that Mill was just... I could not Mill...
Yeah. Fire Lightning.
I couldn't go against
Mill.
I couldn't go against Mill. With all the ping and burning and killing stuff was fine, but if you didn't have a deck to do that with, and also playing Sakura that was obviously going to mill myself. I was like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this for a Commons Cup. So yeah, no, it was great. You walk away with such a smile on your face.
That was
from that whole weekend. Playing that.
Yeah, that was so good. It just made the whole Winter Cup like my best FFTCG experience. Like I loved it so much.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a bit of a crash to reality coming back because it's not been quiet since Winter Cup. Obviously, we're like midway through. But it's been but it's natural though because what the format's like you said, the format is sorted and people are trying to have fun with other things, and if not having fun with other things, they're just not playing.
But we've also got to remember that we are in the longest month of the year. For most people's pay. Yeah. You know, most people got paid before going to Winter Cup. Yeah. Like I got paid on the 22nd, so like I'm having to stretch out, and I'm thinking I can't really afford.
Honestly, it's like those memes you see, isn't it? Like you're in July the 107th trying to make £3.25 last.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It is one of the toughest times of the year, despite the fact that you've just come out from such a high.
And a lot of people are competitive motivated, right? There's no more competitive events.
No, exactly.
Although we did just have that announcement for the next season, which is nice to see.
There's a lot of exciting stuff to come, and I think that will be saved for another podcast discussion. But since that, I think Commons Cup was so good that I do believe I want to try and run another one, possibly Opus 23 release after Opus 23. Just give a few.
I'm gonna be hungry for it. Like
I know,
even in 22.
22. I mean, could do. Yeah, I just think a couple more sets.
Yeah.
You know, I think you need the common pool a bit bigger just to kind of like fluff out some more ideas.
Well, like if anyone's listening to this wants to like chip in on if they'd be interested in Commons events.
Yeah, we'll run a big one.
Let us know. Yeah.
I'm sure Steve D will probably make his appearance again.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. He's a bit stressed about the driving, but we can hold it on. We can try and hold it on the weekend. Things can happen.
Yeah.
It's been nice to try different decks though since like Winter Cup. Like I've just been playing absolute jank. Well, not jank, but like a mixture of jank and decks that make Mike swear. I think are the two categories of things I've been playing.
Yeah.
Retainers, which were sad because I wish Gladio was better. Well, the Gladio is amazing. I just wish the deck was better.
Yeah,
it is what it is. Rydia Summon Toolbox is porn. it's just. I think yesterday you were to the phrase like, "Oh, that's a nice Sarah. I wonder if you've got an Earth backup. Turn 2 Earth backup. Nice. Cheers." Like it's just so linear. It's unreal. But yeah, it's been nice to experience some different tropes.
Yeah, that's what my my Opus 20 was all about. Was that Rydia. With Cecil and racking up the counters. I took it to Huddersfield, and so I know that experience very well.
Yeah, I need some more memes to test out.
I've just stolen Jenny's deck and gone. I'm playing the best of both worlds for me. Nice. So it's been proven fun.
Yeah, for me, I've been experimenting with fire, lightning, tempo crystals since the end of Winter Cup. It's been really fun. It's come out a bit stronger than I thought it would. But also against some decks, I've realised you really have to thread the needle. Seeing you get Rosa, Warrior of Light and Cecil, 2 games, like I can deal with Warrior of Light Cecil, but the Rosa just having that a little bit extra and like playing that off 2 backups.
The water Rosa that pays
most
0.
difficult.
Buff.
Yeah. Buff and react.
You run 3 of that in your Rydia deck, right?
Yeah, and it's like that buff catches people off guard because it's like you Amatted Windsettle yesterday, and I'm like, sure, Rydia buff it out of range so that I get to keep my Windsettle.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that's just super handy. But no, the play you've done against me with Melusine and the 2-drop lightning forward.
Lady Lilith. You're very impressed with that player.
I am.
It's been around a while.
It's like Owser on crack, man. It's like
your resource is mine, and now I use it to get more resources.
Yes, it's just like
it's quite gross.
So Melusine, if anyone's listening, obviously is an old monster that steals a forward from opponent's field, and you control it. But then
only for that turn, yeah.
For that turn, but during your turn, you can Lady Lilith by breaking that forward.
You put it in the break zone as part of the cost.
Yeah.
You can't even respond to me putting it in the break zone.
It's removed from game.
Removed from game.
Removed from game.
Like, oh no, my boy.
Not even touching the break zone.
Yeah.
So you don't even put it back in your opponent's break zone.
It's a gross combo. Mm-hmm. But that deck has surprised me. Cyan, the new one, Crystal Cyan, proved insane in that deck.
Hilarious.
The only time he struggles is with removal on the stack.
Yeah.
That's happened once.
Yeah, I did that to you like
last?
two. I think 2 or 3 times I did that yesterday.
It was
either
twice, yeah.
Yeah, because one was an AMAT removal and one was like a damage removal. I think it was the Sabin removal in Cat 6. I think
The dream is having the 5 crystals already, but I don't know what kind of deck are you running where you've got 5 crystals before you place them.
I think we down talked it in our review, but like the idea that you play it, spend 8 to get the 5 crystals. I was looking at just that at the time. Now, obviously, with your deck, which builds the crystals slowly, get them up to where you want them to be, and then play it, and then you can only spend 2 or whatever to just get bring it to 5.
One really nice thing is
Overlooked
if you're suspecting Amat from your opponent, you could play him. You know, you've got a few crystals already, and you can just say 1 crystal or 2 crystals, and then like if you do have Amat, you're losing less resources. I think I've had a match like that where I've done that. And I'm like, okay, now my Lilith is more powerful.
I think that was me.
And you didn't have the Amat, right?
I had an Amat. Oh no, yeah. I didn't have the Amat at the time, but the idea that you can Amat on top of the crystals and you've only spent 2 or 1, it's not
nice
much,
flexibility,
right? Yeah.
But no, the deck's nice. If anyone wants the list, let me know.
Yeah, but other than I don't think we've done too much else since, because it's like we've not really had like any locals, like 1 or 2.
We've got locals next week.
Yeah, we've got locals next week where everyone can get their nice new AMAT promos.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's been a nice quiet start to the year. I think everyone needs a bit of a break before the season starts again.
It's hilarious how we got AMAT promos before November and December promos of Reeves and whatever.
Well, we've got those now.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've got
we've got
Reeves,
all of them.
I'm down next week.
Yeah.
Get mine.
Yeah. But I guess before we finish off, if we like have a bit of something a bit more fun, I guess, and for future, if people listening ever want to like contribute to the podcast by like asking us a question or telling us a thing about what we've said, we might read it out on the podcast. For example, I guess a thing that would be nice to do a like community shout out is to Likey. Likey sort of made our weekend, I think, because I think I went up against Likey like round 4 or something along those lines, and he was like, "Oh, are you from the Slice&Dice podcast?" And I think both Jono and I afterwards, when I told Jono, were like, "It works! Oh my god,
it's doing something! It's doing something!"
And then you showed us the screenshot of like 50 downloads, which we were like, you were really pumped about. So you know, it's sort of
nice. It's a nice little something, and I feel like whether this actually makes anyone like truly inspired to kind of follow along. I think podcasts is a nice format to listen to because
it's like chill to make, and like there's
not much effort.
It's not, and there's not many out there as well.
No,
right?
exactly.
Like if I feel like if I wasn't making this, I'd be listening to it. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like as a big FFTCG fan, you know.
Yeah. But I guess as our fun thing this week, for an example, if you ever want to ask us a question or you think it'd make a good thing for the end or whatever, is we've got Limit Break coming up in like not next in like 23, is it? Or is it
no, it's 22.
It's 22. So we've got Limit Break coming up as a new mechanic, and all we know so far is it looks a little bit like a monster card, but it's like a bright gold sheen, isn't it?
That's correct.
What do you think the Limit Break either of you
There was
going to
something
be?
said in that article about it being a bit of a side.
I believe it's a side deck. I believe it's a side deck, and I believe that the card. I have no idea when or how they're interacted with your current field, but I believe that the I think there's only 8 cards. I think was stated.
Right.
I think only 8 cards were allowed to be in your side deck. I can't remember, or unless only 8 were being released.
So on side deck, because we'll have people who know other TCGs, it might be also the word extra deck for people that know games like Yu-Gi-Oh! It might be Pokemon. Actually, I don't know many other games that do. It might be like
the sideboard in another game.
Sideboard is a magic.
No, because sideboard and side decking is something you can only interact with between games in a best of 3 to swap cards out.
Of course,
in Yu-Gi-Oh, your extra deck is where you have your big boss monsters that you can bring out mid-game by fusing other monsters and stuff. And I kind of think...
I think they might steal something like that, because they some people do describe FF as between Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, in the franchise, Limit Breaks are renowned, and it's one of the most like ultimate weapon abilities that you can use.
Kind of like an evolution.
Yeah,
power.
it's so you can imagine it being I don't know, like you say, maybe break a couple of forwards and do a limit break or something, or like have
this sounds very similar to what Ant was saying. He was saying like, you can imagine that your your limit break card might have a something that requires you to have. Say your Cloud is on board.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, if Cloud is on board, you can use this limit break card or something like that.
That's very much like Lorcana with like you want to go Rockstar Stitch into it. I can't remember the term, but there's a term where shifting. I think it could be like shifting in Lorcana where you have to require like a version of the card already and then put the more powerful one on top. Or it'd be a Yu-Gi-Oh style where it's like material, so it'd have a cost on it that says like to play this card you must break 2 category 7 forwards that you control. It'll be one of the two.
But the interest.
Sorry.
I
I was saying like I'm really hoping that some of these cards can like slow the meta down a bit. And not to be too negative, but I think no one wants the meta to be like feeling like the game's over in three turns, really.
Fast
with rug aggro decks and then wall 7 and stuff, it feels very speedy. But some of these limit breaks could be like heal 2 health, 2 damage, you could be seeing new mechanics, really.
Do you know what I think though is that I feel like limit breaks probably will only happen during your turn.
Yeah.
I don't see them being summon speed. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, there's no interaction effectively. Is there really?
No, there is.
I don't know.
It's chaining, yeah.
In Yu-Gi-Oh, if we use
is there responses?
Yeah, if we use Final Fantasy terminology, you can do the stack on your turn and your opponent's turn in Yu-Gi-Oh, and often there are memes in decks for Yu-Gi-Oh that your opponent's turn is also your turn. Because the moment they play a card, you just stack constantly in their turn.
Right.
So I don't think, from what you're saying, I agree. I don't think Limit Break right now will be something that you can like do on the stack in your opponent's turn.
No, it would just feel too powerful, right?
No, but in sets to come, it will be something that.
And it might be thematic, like if an evil kind of Limit Break, could be very like, ooh.
It'd be like you break.
Could be very like evil and nasty and sneaky.
So what we've seen so far, though, we saw Zach Aerith back-to-back sort of picture, right?
Yes, that's the only one I actually remember. But...
And I think we saw a couple of new ones in the Opus 23 set, which was like I can't remember exactly, but I think it was like an Ultimisia. I can't remember. It might not be, but yeah, there's obviously specific.
Maybe a lightning.
Specific characters.
Probably,
you can't help but think that, right?
She's on the front of the 23 box.
New Cat 13 support.
Speaking of which, I mean this is off track, but the nice thing about that lightning that they brought out is the first non-legend signature card.
Yeah.
So that's cool. It's nice that they're thinking of other cards as well. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the limit break thing, they're very much specifically centered around a character.
Yeah.
I just don't see where the character relation could come from, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, yes, you've got Zach, and it has to be. I feel like if they took away the thematic side of things, the term limit break would just be like a bit downplayed. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel like limit breaks are normally that character does a massive smash. You know what I mean? That character does this thing, and whereas if they just did it with like, I don't know, Garnet uses Zach. You know what I mean? It just seems a bit thematically.
Oh yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Like the problem in Lorcana where you get someone singing a song from another.
Yeah. It feels a bit like Clash. It Clash in my perfect little mind of this fits nice in a niche.
I can imagine they might think similarly. Like they might try to think about.
So
you still get the mirror match.
It's not a title
Final
thing,
Fantasy.
but you know what I mean. It's
you still get Cloud hitting Cloud in this game.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it will, like you say, I hope it slows the meta down just to the point that even if your opponent establishes a busted Gigaworld board, your limit break could claw the game back to a point you can ramp back up over a couple of turns, sort of thing.
You're hoping the limit break will stop something from.
Yeah, I just hope it. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is just the inner control deck player, speaking, but I hope it leads to. More turns.
Because Final Fantasy's always been about the long game.
I don't want it to go to
enjoyable.
I don't want it to go to like, for example, turn 2 or 3, you're playing mono wind and you ramp to the point you can do a busted limit break really, really early.
Yeah.
Like it wants to be, like you said, like a control play.
I think I would like the limit breaks to favour tempo decks.
Mm-hmm.
because they're like currently the weakest in like the meta. If you look at like strategic deck styles.
I just pictured literally a crystals one. It's just like limit break, get 12 crystals.
I'd love that. My Lady Lilith would be very happy.
break.
Yeah,
But I think we've got a lot to look forward to. We've had our little quiet period with Alex's announcement. We've got some fun events coming up, and we've got plenty to look forward to. So.
Yeah, hopefully we can add to those event lists as well. And
Hopefully we can get a little store event.
Yeah, clamber onto that. What is it called? Store celebration.
Store celebration. Yeah, what a strange word.
Love the idea. And then regionals coming back instead of being regional championships rather than store championships.
Yeah.
So I think they're like. They've obviously taken the store championships and the regionals and just gone, let's make two things.
Yeah.
So that sounds nice.
More events is good. We like that.
Yeah.
And we'll probably have a lot of everyone coming down to Slice and Dice. Oh, Dice Cup to partake.
It's fine. Just rename the store. It's fine.
Yeah. No, I mean,
We'll just put Slice and Dice all over the store. Delightful.
Yeah. I love that. Anyway,
right.
So thank you very much for sitting through all this, and I hope you tune in for the next one. So
thanks very much.
take care for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.